Welcome to the Dibley Diaries for this week. This week we're thinking about the passage where Jesus eats some fish, and that's an important passage. And I was thinking this week about the quality of food that we offer to people in our church congregations. So obviously Jesus in the story, he's there, he appears and they give him some fish and he eats the fish to prove that he's not a ghost. But actually, what are we saying to people about the quality of food that we provide in our church community settings? Now, you might think, oh, how can rural churches provide any food at all? This even extends down to do your communion wafers taste really horrible because they've been kept in a damp place? So yes, it could be that. It could be that your communion wine actually tastes terrible when you don't want it to. I mean, that could be a theological choice, I guess. Or when you're serving people refreshments, is it always the cheapest thing that you buy? Are you always serving people value things rather than the best sort of thing that you could get, or that would be reasonable, or the best sort of thing in the context of what people would be used to? I remember once having some helpers around for a lunch, and I just made what to me seemed like a really simple chili dish, and one of them said to me, you know, that's the best meal that I've ever had. So how do you kind of bring in that context of people's value being reflected in what you serve them? What do you give to people in food and drink? I think it's really important. I don't think we should always be serving people value cheapest biscuits, but also I don't think we should be going to the extent that people feel uncomfortable with what they're receiving as well. So that's a balance, isn't it, that we need to think about in our community. How can we serve people food which is really good but not so outlandish that people might feel uncomfortable with what they're eating? So thought for the week this week is going to be about the church community being together and them giving some food to Jesus. But how do we tell God's story to the people that we work with by the quality of the food that we give them? Thought for the week this week is based on Luke chapter 24 verses 36 to 48, and in that gospel story Jesus arrives, and he arrives in a room, and the disciples need to prove that he's not a ghost, so they encourage him to eat a piece of broiled fish that they have lying around, and that is the proof for them that he isn't a ghost, because he's eating. Now, there are different things that we know that Jesus ate. He ate the fish. We know that he cooked fish and bread for the disciples in a later resurrection story. We know that he ate the Passover meal. But I reckon Jesus would have just eaten ordinary things. We would have known, it would have been reported if Jesus ate different things, because like John the Baptist, the locust and honey thing, but that wasn't who Jesus was. Jesus was more ordinary with his food than that. And it's interesting to think about what Jesus would eat and did eat. A few years ago at one of my churches, we had a meal where we ate food from the Bible, and we looked at the Bible stories which went along with that, and that was a really great thing to do. And it also helped kind of explore the things that were from the Bible and being part of that whole part of God's story. It was great. But these disciples, they have some broiled fish left over. It seems a very ordinary and boring sort of thing. Part of me wonders why they had leftovers at all. Food was really precious. But I guess part of it might be because they were grieving so much. They were really grieving Jesus' loss, his death, and they had no idea about really how the resurrection might work, whether it was at that point still just somebody's delusion or not. So when Jesus comes and eats the fish, I wonder what state of grief they were in. Is that why they were needing the kind of reassurance that Jesus wasn't a ghost and that he could eat the fish? So my question really is, what would you give Jesus if he turned up in your house? I don't know what I would feed Jesus. I might feed him beans on toast or beans and jacket potato. That's something which I often have, kind of, that I could quickly get ready for him. Or what are the leftovers in my fridge? What is there that I could give him that was left over from there? Just an ordinary thing. A resurrected body, but eating ordinary food. So I wonder what you would have in your fridge or in your house, that if Jesus turned up, you could quickly say, look, I've just got this. I've just got this. Are you happy just to eat this? The Dibley moment of the week this week is about fish, and it's about a fish that was given to me. So one of my friends came round in one of the villages where we lived, and he said, I've just caught this trout in the little river just round the back of your house, and it's for you. And I had to go up and look up on YouTube how to prepare the fish, because it was a whole fish, and then and when I came to eating it, it was lovely fish because it had been eaten with love, but it was a bit like the fish that Diaries said, was a bit like eating a toothbrush. It had lots and lots of little bones, but I really appreciated that fish because it had been caught for me and brought to me by someone who cared about me, and that was great. So yes, you never know what fish is going to turn up on your doorstep. That's it for the Dibley Diaries for this week. I pray that you and your village, however large or small, have a really blessed week, and that you have enough food that there might be a little bit of leftovers if Jesus pops round unexpectedly.